Greetings and welcome back to Stellaris, my United Nations of Earth playthrough. So something strange happened. I have still been using the 3.5.3 rollback client, and when I launched this game, or tried to launch this game, it would refuse to load the save game. It said I was missing content, the First Contact story pack. And I don't understand it because the last time I played this game was in 3.5.3. So I went through and I had to update this to the latest patch. And it revamped a lot of my ship designs. Anyone that had autocannons had the autocannons removed from the slots. Any of my missile boats were given an extra defense slot. And I can now put missiles in small slots, though they did retain the missile in the G slot. So I had to go back through and redo some of my designs to add extra components to them. Any of mine that had particular sterns ended up getting an extra auxiliary slot. I believe it's the interceptor stern got an extra auxiliary slot. For destroyers, yes, the gunship stern got an extra auxiliary slot. For battleships, the broadside got an extra auxiliary slot. And I had to revamp one of my stations because, like I said, anything that had autocannons had all these slots emptied. And that included the ships that currently existed. So I had to go to my military fleets, like First Fleet here. I looked at some of my ships that used to have autocannons. Like, let's take the Krabby Picket. It's got 2 empty slots, so I have to send all of my fleets to upgrade. And that's going to drain a little bit of time, but hopefully I won't be at war. But that also means I am willing to bet if I go to any of these stations and look at the defenses, my Halsey autocannons have been emptied of their guns, so I'm going to have to go to all of my existing stations and tell them to upgrade their autocannons. And that would include the ones that I just started queuing up. But I'm going to have to wait till they're done building to queue up their upgrades. Because when you are building to max capacity, for some reason, it doesn't allow you to upgrade. Let's see. I can go here to where I have the 2 Halsey autocannons, 14 and 15. Go ahead and remove them. And then queue them back up. And hopefully they won't need upgrades. I'll just leave them being turned out last. But we'll see how that goes. I'll let the others that I had queued up run and see if I have to upgrade afterwards. And that should complete Sugalia and Efrov when all of that construction is done. And then in about 3 months, I can get started on, I believe it was terminal egress I was going to do next. I also had to redo the ion cannons because the ion cannon weapon was yanked out. And it also gave me extra combat computers for the torpedo class and stuff like that. So I'm willing to bet it's going to change the way combat works from here on out to fit with the combat update. I'm not sure what else might break. I did notice when I was looking at my ships, they do have the cloaking level, cloaking strength on their UI. And my observation posts do have the diplomacy and espionage buttons, but they are currently ineligible. I don't know if that will update after a month or two. And I'm not sure what other changes might have taken place that I might need to worry about. Hopefully it didn't break anything else. It still didn't fix the glitch names on the spaceborne organics. But we'll see what all happened. Now that should also mean that the Senate should have new resolution categories. Pre-FTL stance, yes. Non-interference. All diplomatic agreements will be considered in breach of galactic law. Failed espionage will be in breach. Active and aggressive are banned. We'll see what gets passed or proposed. Now, I wonder if that took away... Let's actually go back to the thing. There was one reason I didn't like going up Unchained Knowledge, because it made non-interference policies are banned. Okay, they are still part of Advanced Xeno Studies. So Advanced Xeno Studies is mutually exclusive with Non-Interference Act. But we'll just have to see what all occurs as a result of this. Now we do have extra buttons: assist cloaking detection, activate cloaking, and when you activate cloaking it will change this to participating in espionage, or active reconnaissance, I believe is the name of the button. But I don't know if I'm going to get espionage as an option. As a matter of fact, when I was going through my technologies, when I tried to change my current technology research here, it would not let me, because this research that is currently being done by engineering was moved to society. So it won't let me change it because it's got currently a society research in my engineering field. But we'll see what all changes. Hopefully it won't completely break the game and make it unplayable. If so, I will just have to go back to doing United Nations of Earth some later time. But I will have a bunch of fleets doing upgrades, and that should update next month. Till and SD reopened their borders to us. They'll probably close it again in a couple of months.
We are being hailed.
Commonwealth of Man would like their embassy back. If Zorak is no longer a valid rival for our empire. Garanshu are in a research agreement with the Vassal.
Ship upgrades applied.
Hazar Assembly built a gateway. Alright, so First Fleet was the first to finish its upgrades. It now has a significantly higher military power than it previously did. I believe it was like 165 or close around there, so it gained a huge jump in effective military power. And that's mainly because of the changes I did to some of my ships. Now, I did take advantage when I was going to the ship designer of the fact that some of my ships can now put missiles in these small slots. So my missile design Shilang is now a full-on missile design. It is all missiles, and instead of coming up close, because I believe these used to be like autocannons and things, I have it staying at artillery range. But we'll have to see how combat plays out the next time we end up fighting someone.
We are being hailed.
The Garanshu would like their embassy back.
We are being hailed.
The Tilinesti would like their embassy back. Yes, my power level has jumped significantly.
Ship upgrades applied.
That should be Second Fleet is now fully upgraded. It is now 223,000. Sixth Fleet is jumped up to almost 200,000. League of Brian States is in a commercial pact with the Garanshu. That's one thing I should check. Yes, apart from the United Ubrik and the Ivzorak, everybody seems to like me now again. But how do they feel about each other? Okay, the Fire Tribes and the Garanshu still do not get along. I'd like to select the Ivzorak, not zoom in on their nation. Not many people like them. The Commonwealth of Man doesn't even like them, and they are... Oh no, there's the Commonwealth of Man. This is the Hithians. So yeah, their allies are about the only ones who like them. The Diab 5 habitat is now complete and ready for colonization. And he is already en route to set up the final habitat here. Now let's see, what did I have here? I had a mining station, a refinery station, and yes, I do get the new bonuses here. Instead of it just being 10%, it's now 15% to all of my output and 15% to strategic resource gatherers. So now I will be getting further bonus on the ones that have gas extraction wells. But they did take away the 25% reduction in time it takes to build refineries, which I'm fine with. I don't really need that bonus. I would rather have the output. I'm curious if they did any other changes other than refinery. Like Fortress is one of the useless ones, I think. Nope, no real changes to Fortress. Fortress is still something you only pick right before the place gets invaded. But yeah, let's see. If I go with a new Cahaba. Alright, Winjo is in a different sector. So we have a mining station, a chemical plant, an exotic gas, and then we're out of this system. So that one should be a crystal refinery. And then that leaves this one free to be something else. And this one will be Fostoria. And once it is started, I can readjust it on the... Oh, that does remind me, I have the new outliner options. I can have my planet mode be the type over designation, or I think it's designation over type is the one I like. No, it is type over designation. No, designation over type. So now if we go to our sectors, we have this little icon showing our designation. No, it is the other way around. Type over designation. We have the icon showing the designation, and then a little icon showing the type, so we know what type of world it is in front of it. We have a new proposal. Equal Standing Act. Each pre-FTL civilization has the potential to acquire spaceflight and join the galactic community. As such, we must treat any future members with dignity and respect. Non-interference and aggressive interference are banned. Increases the effectiveness of provide technology. Pre-FTL civilizations that become safe spacefaring through provide technology will gain loyalty. Commercial agreements are more effective. We would be in breach of that resolution. It makes it more difficult to infiltrate. Now, I'm opposed to that because I am more interested in non-interference. Which does remind me, let's go to my policies. It would be not pre-sapience, though pre-sapience now also have a change, I believe. Pre-FTL interference and enlightenment. So we are in non-interference, cannot target them with espionage, cannot reveal our presence, cannot invade. Observation outposts are limited to passive observation. Subtle interference would allow us to do certain espionage and can reveal our presence to places with high awareness, but we can't invade. Polysimus Mandate built a strategic coordination center.
Ship upgrades applied.
Fifth Fleet has been upgraded. They are now over 200k as well. Almac Starbase has finished its construction queue. It was switching away from a mining facility to a resource silo. That does remind me, though, I have to go through all of my orbital rings and upgrade their defenses. And we gained a favor with the Commonwealth of Man. While I was going around doing my Empire maintenance and setting up these upgrades, there was one thing occurred to me. First off is there's a little bit better detail on the stations. You can get a little bit to know about all of them instead of just having to go to details to get that information. And if we do go to details, you'll see that there's not a lot of missiles on stations anymore. They replaced them. Basically, stations don't launch have missiles by themselves, and they actually took out the missile silo as an option to put on there. You can get the torpedo battery, of course. But the thing I noticed is in a patch since I started playing this game, they have reduced the effectiveness of culture workers, specifically the ones for the ethics I am, egalitarian and xenophile, which has had an impact on pop upkeep reduction and pop housing usage reduction. Both of those have been affected. So some of my established colonies now have overcrowding. And there was also a change to the way alien zoos work, so some of them actually have amenity issues. As you see, the population on this one is really close to cap. But yeah, any one of these, this one is severely overcrowded. I basically decided to replace these huge job-providing commerce megaplexes with a galactic stock exchange. It provides 2 merchant jobs, so it's going to be a similar effect, slightly less amenities, slightly less trade, but an overall boost to trade value, and it'll only support 2 jobs instead of 7. So there will be enough unemployed people to match the overcrowding that when I shift people to other jobs, it should also pretty much shut down on population growth because of overcrowding. I had to go through most of these and queue up replacing those because of overcrowding. I also lost the Sky Dome that I had gotten from the reliquary, so I have to replace it with another residence. Now my resort world is seriously overcrowded. I'm probably going to end up having to replace the military academy as well with further housing because I do not want to get rid of my administrative complexes. I also lost that generator from the Fallen Empire that I had gotten from a reliquary, but I do have enough spare nanites to throw an additional nanite transmuter on here that will give me a little bit more of each of the 3 primary strategic resources because my cost for strategic resources has changed. I'm now in a deficit for both motes and crystals. These places that had isolated valleys, they have changed the way. I did already have an hyper entertainment form here, so it didn't have much effect. The alien zoos now provide 1 entertainer and 1 zookeeper. Previously they provided 2 entertainers. Well, their amenities are scaled based on protected fauna or conserved fauna jobs, which require pre-sapience. Now this does provide a little bit more society research, but it did drastically impair the amenity production of this place, as well as a little bit of the unity production. In the case of Shangri-La, the loss of the isolated valley effects severely hampered me because I did not have a holo theater here. So I am replacing this alien zoo with a holo theater so that I can get my amenities back up, because my amenities are severely limited now that this does not provide the amenities it once did.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
We have completed aggressive conditioning 9 for army damage. We do have access to the devolving beam now, a Colossus mind-wiping cannon which unleashes a planet-wide wave of energy returning most sentient life to a pre-sapient state. Engineers estimate that with additional tuning it might be used to wipe clean memory banks and disable robotic units. We can also start working on the facility of Archaeo studies. Now, I don't know if I will have any minor artifact depositories. We will have to see if I develop resources for that. But yeah, as you see, the Strikecraft stuff was moved to Society. No, I have no minor artifacts currently. I don't have any undeveloped minor artifacts in my area, so I'm kind of screwed on that. I won't be able to build the facility without 32 more minor artifacts, which would mean a lot more playing of slots trying to get it if I don't find a way to develop them eventually. Now, there is one thing I could do. I could see if I could trade for them. I don't even see minor artifacts on here as a valid trade option with them. That probably means they have none. So yeah, it doesn't look like I can currently trade for minor artifacts. Maybe I need the Society of Archaeo Studies to be able to trade them. Or I need a source of them. I need to have minor artifacts for them to be eligible for trade, I bet. The Gronshu are in a research agreement with the Pirac.
Colony establishment has begun.
We have established an embassy with the citizen state of Azuk. And we just got a new colony, that Fostoria colony. It is going to be a crystal refinery, so it should go right after New Kahaba. We got 1,650 alloys for scrapping that fleet with the conglomerated scrappers. And we now have a commercial pact with the Commonwealth of Man. And it looks like they fixed that bug that was showing backwards, because I definitely would be granting them more than they'll be granting me. So that piece of information I gave you way back at the start of this episode appears to have finally been fixed. So we should only get 94.2 out of this. So our trade should go up to about 21,500. A little over that when the next month rolls around. Rhizome of Yellow gained adaptable, more experience gain. That means he will level up a little faster. Yes, my trade jumped up to 21,505. So they
Ship
did
upgrades applied.
They did correct that display bug. It's over 200 for 4th Fleet now. League of Brian States is a rival of the Ivzorak.
Ship upgrades applied.
3rd Fleet is now a 210 in combat value. Ivzorak returned the favor with the League of Brian States.
Research concluded.
We have completed Archaeo studies. This new field of studies focuses on the practical applications of ancient artifacts. We are far from being the first galactic civilization to tread these stars. With a bit of work, their legacies could secure our future. And now we are working on oh, look at all of these Archaeo things we have access to. Oh my. We're working on an ancient nano-missile cloud launcher. It'll only take about 6 months to turn these out. We'll get a lot of these out of the way quick. But these will give us access to new components, such as the ancient suspension field that provides shield hardening in addition to shields, ancient pulse armor that provides shields and armor in one component, ancient macro batteries, which is just kind of an improved kinetic battery. And much like a lot of the other techs, I think this is better than like the tier 3 or 4, but not better than the top upgrade. But yes, we should end up blowing through a lot of these ancient techs pretty quickly. But I will not be able to build the facility of Archaeo studies because I do not have minor artifacts. All it really does is boost research speed for Archaeo studies and give you a steady trickle of minor artifacts. Now, a lot of the new events would have added a trickle of minor artifacts, and a lot of the old archaeological sites would have generated them. I know relic worlds provide them now, but I don't have any relic worlds in my space.
Ship upgrades applied.
And they did generate 3 Titans for our technologist fleet. So I could split this up into actually 3 fleets, 1 Titan a fleet, and then just kind of divide the others into thirds. Let's see, if I were to split this fleet, let's transfer, okay, we need 6 battleships, about 9 cruisers, 9 destroyers, and let's see, a third of that would be 14 corvettes. So let's put a Titan, and it was 6 battleships and then 9 of the other categories. Now we do have another admiral available to stick in Technologist Fleet Alpha. Technologist Fleet Beta, let's make their home base Terminal Egress. And then we will go back to Technologist Fleet Alpha and split it up into 1 more subfleet. And this will be Technologist Fleet Gamma. Now let's go to the fleet manager for these and see if we can do a fleet manager for these fleets. We need to drop their counts down. Now this one actually has 1 more cruiser than the other 2 fleets, that's fine. And both of these should have their fleet capacities similar. Now that drops them down to actually only about 150 fleet strength. I'm fine with that. Technologist Fleet Gamma we will assign to Yilon. And we do need a new leader for this fleet. There's also slight modifiers to the bonuses they give now. This synthetic gives armor hardening, so we will actually use this synthetic, not only because he is eager, so he's cheaper to get, but it gives a nice benefit of the armor hardening.
Ship upgrades applied.
Our first starbase has had its fleet upgraded. I don't need to upgrade a second time, at least.
Ship upgrades applied.
Oh, those were upgrades on my orbital rings. They are all completed.
Ship upgrades applied.
And there would be the rest of them. All of these orbital rings have upgraded their fleets. It appears I have completely drained my alloys. I even ended up having to buy a whole bunch. And I still did not finish doing all the upgrades I wanted to in the Friaka sector. I got about half of the system done. I still need Parsac, Plessis, Kayako, Hithara, and these 3 unaligned systems before I move on down here to Trimus. So I may have to slow the pace of my production of defense platforms for my outpost at this point. The Awoken is now a vassal instead of a protectorate, finally. So let's see what the agreement has become. We're still doing 45% research. I think we were doing 75. Nothing else has really changed. We could switch them to something else. Let's see. How much are they providing? This would be 15% of their annual monthly production. They're providing a decent amount of those resources. What about their strategics? A small amount of them. And their basic resources. They provide mainly energy credits, very little in the way of food. I'm not sure. I could switch them over to be a Scalarium. Let's see how much that would cost. 500 to switch them to a Scalarium. They'd end up sending me back research instead of me subsidizing them. And that would be really the only real changes. Actually, I could do it for 449. Oh, and I did have 3 of those. 574. We need unified sensors and independent diplomacy. 474 is what it would cost to switch them to a Scalarium. Though I don't really need another Scalarium at this point. Them remaining a Vassal is just fine. Woken have entered into a research agreement with the citizen state of Azuk. That is one thing. Can I do any more deals with them? No, we're already in a research agreement. There's not really much else I can do, but they are now free to do research agreements with other empires. Citizen state of Azuk built a gateway. Pirak has declared Commonwealth of Man their rival.
Research concluded.
We have completed Synapse Interceptors 8 for strike craft damage. We have now freed up engineering research to do something else. It looks like it's working on Synchronized Firing Patterns 12. But let's have a quick look. Yeah, strike craft attack speed is still down here currently, as is strike craft damage, interestingly enough. Even though those should both be moved up there by now. Now we were doing Synchronized Firing Patterns 12 for defense platform damage. All of my star bases there have gotten their upgrades. We lost contact with our operatives in Commonwealth of Man. Find our operatives. That is the 3rd time we have lost contact with them on this one operation. Established factions and fledgling movements alike have taken an unusually keen interest in our new colony on Torg Industries. From the moment we announced the settlement of this modest habitat, nearly every political voice in the United Nations of Earth has had something to say about it. Our analysts don't suspect that anything truly radical is taking root on Torg Industries, but they advise some caution. It's clear our various political entities intend to campaign vigorously on this burgeoning world. Such vigorous debate is to be commended. So it creates a political frontier modifier, gives them a better chance to shift ethics, gives me 100,000 unity, and in 200 days we will have a report. An unfortunate effect of the rebellion that the Pirak suffered is it got rid of all of my holdings with them. I'm having to reestablish holdings, and their capital is now an orbital habitat. They have not shifted it back to a planet. Perhaps the next time they suffer a rebellion, I will probably end up keeping the territory that rebels, because it's obvious they cannot manage the size of the empire they have. It's unfortunate, since the Pirak was one of my first allies, but it looks like they are failing to maintain their empire. We're in a Garanshu are in a migration treaty with the Darbalans. Awoken built a gateway, and we reestablished contact with our operatives in the Commonwealth of Man. We are in a research agreement with the citizen state of Azuk, as well as the Commonwealth of Man again.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
We have completed Ancient Nano Missile Cloud Launcher. Now, how does this compare to regular missile launchers? We will see. Particle charges, once stabilized thanks to ancient technology, allow us to create swarms of tiny missiles that still carry a respectable payload, and should be able to overwhelm most point defense systems. We are now working on the ancient pulse armor. Now if we go to ship designer and let's compare some missiles. So there's the ancient nano missile cloud launcher. If we compare it to the Marauder missiles. Marauder missiles cooldown of 8.5, 100% accuracy, 25 tracking, range of 100, 7.11 damage, 7 armor, 7 hull points, 40% evasion, 18 speed. These, 0.85 cooldown, 25% tracking, same as that, 100 range, average damage is less, 4.7 as opposed to 7.11, because these did 50 to 70 damage, these do 3 to 5. Now they have 5 hull points and 5 armor as opposed to the 7. Their evasion is only 20% as opposed to the 40. It's the fast fire rate. Sure, they're weak missiles, but they fire incredibly fast. 0.85 cooldown. If we were to go to one of our pickets, Guardian Point Defense has a cooldown of 0.5. It's almost faster than the Guardian Point Defense itself can fire, even though the Guardian Point Defense will blow up one of these missiles in one shot. Basically, if you have more launchers than they have point defense, missiles will get through, but they will do very little damage. So I think I'm actually not going to switch a ship over to using them just yet. I think the Marauder missiles are much more effective. Tezekian Hive has declared the Ivzorak their rival. Garanshu has declared Tezekian Hive their rival. Pirak broke off the research agreement with the Garanshu.
A new world has been colonized.
The Ivzorak declared Tezekian Hive their rival. And we have finally established this colony here on Fostoria. Leisure Station still boost... Wait a minute. It has mining bays. There was nothing on here that would have made it eligible to be a mining facility. Oh, yes, there was. This was a mining facility. My mistake. So I may have misnamed this, since this is going to be a mining facility. Fostoria would have been a name for a crystal manufactory, but we'll deal with it. We'll actually rename this planet to New Luina and set up the crystal refinery as Fostoria when we build a crystal refinery. That also means I need to reorder it in the queue. It should be right after New Kahaba. And it is. Yeah, New Kahaba, New Luina. Then Menoidius and Tantalus. So I didn't end up needing to reorder it.
Knowledge
it was already in
is
position.
the key to the universe.
We have focusing arrays 20 for energy weapon damage, and are now working on a detection array that allows us to detect cloaked ships. Before we get that, I'm actually manually going to tell them to give me the cloaking fields first. Tezekian Hive has declared the Garanshu as their rival. We need to renew our agreement with the curators. And let us see if it has finally corrected that bug with the different enclaves like Zurikor. Nope, still don't have a species here, so we still cannot gain reputation with them. Reverence for life had passed. That outlawed purging, other than displacement and the use of world crackers. I don't know if anybody will be in violation of that. Yes, the Zekians are in violation of it because they are apparently doing purges other than displacement, as are the Urzo. 2 hive minds are in breach of it. The Tilonesti do not, the other hive mind does not appear to be in breach of it. No, the Tilonesti are actually not in breach of any. But leverage privateering should be the next one in the next 2 years. Now I have enough influence to do another habitat, but I was saving up for renegotiating the League of Phemisto over to be a prospectorium. So if we were to switch them to prospectorium, and of course we need to keep our current values, it's going to take about 300. No, 145. We can actually go with it now if we do this agreement, keeping them with the 75% research gain. And I believe we only had 3 holdings with them. And it really won't change their loyalty. Now it will take several years to make them a prospectorium, during which I will be losing 3 influence a month, which is going to slow down my habitat gain and my ability to do other diplomacy, but I think it's going to be worth it. There is an achievement for having a level 3 of each type, but it's going to take decades for this to manifest. 10 years would have been 3,600 days, so this is about 11 and a half years. But we will go ahead and send that out. And the next thing we can work on is another habitat.
Ship upgrades applied.
We gave 8,000 food to the Vassari. That's one of the few gifts, if only, trade that I actually sent out, I think. League of Brian States broke off their commercial pact with the Granju. League of Phemisto is now a prospectorium. So they agreed. And they will be giving us some basic resources out of that. Now we should get these almost immediately. Yes, we are getting that immediately, but it is going to take a while to switch them to prospectorium, after which they can start gaining levels as a prospectorium. 5,000 food to the citizen state of Azuk. It was our other gift.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
Our trade treaty with the Tilonesti has ended because we lack the energy credits to maintain it. We had the energy credits to maintain it. What are you talking about? I was not losing energy credits. I was only giving them like 6,000 a month. I wonder how that's going to affect the Tilonesti. Us having broken a deal because we went broke. Yeah, it looks like they dropped out of positive relations. Broke trade deal, minus 25%. And we lost all of the bonus from the trade deal. So we were giving them monthly energy credits. We should be able to maintain that. We're earning double that. I must have let my stocks get too low. So we'll redo this deal so that hopefully they don't end up... As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and sell some food just to have some extra cash on hand. So hopefully they don't end up breaking the deal again. We need them to have the positive deal. We completed basic cloaking fields. Modified particle field allows our vessels to effectively hide in open space. However, this comes at the cost of destabilizing other forms of energy shielding which would otherwise protect the ship. And it gives us the feature Active Reconnaissance. Now we are working on the shield hardener, which boosts the shield hardening. We could upgrade our cloaking field generator or get the detection array soon. Now we do have some idle science vessels here in Earth. Let's see, the Cortez is around Mars. So yeah, the Cortez, the Terrascova, the Clark, the Cosmocrator, and the Marco Polo should all be available to be relocated. So what we will do is we will engage Cloak on the Cortez and send him into the Garanshu capital. Let's go ahead and send him this way real quick. We'll active reconnaissance. Just go ahead and tell him and see if that is their capital. Yes, that is their capital. Which we are sending them to do active reconnaissance on. The Terrascova we will also cloak and send them into the Ivzorak to do active reconnaissance. And the Clark will cloak, and we will send them into the Commonwealth of Man to do active reconnaissance. Those are the only three we currently have spy networks on. As for these other two, the Cosmocrator is going to relocate to terminal egress. And no, I guess I'm going to have to wait till I get active cloaking detection, because it doesn't look like I can enhance their ability to detect cloaked ships yet. Let's see. Requires advanced detection algorithms before we can relocate these to assist cloaking detection. They're at the L gate, and we will also do that on our borders. Although I am not going to create a cloaked ship just yet. I do have the ability to cloak my science vessels.
Ship upgrades applied.
I could end up cloaking all of my science vessels so that they don't get interrupted if somebody invades the system. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea to set them all cloaked. That should automatically change their fleet stance, I think, while being cloaked. And now that we have cloaking, it should automatically cloak all our observation posts. Now we are going to need to decloak to do active cloaking detection when we relocate those other two ships here in Sol to terminal egress and probably Gorham Station. Well, no, Almac maybe. We might build a few more ships and just put them at every place where somebody can enter. Alright, our deal with the Tilinesti went through. That boosted our relation back up, making up for the broken trade deal. We have a new resolution. Or proposed resolution. The Non-Interference Act. Pre-FTL civilizations should be given the chance to develop without outside interference. I support that. that bans active interference and aggressive interference. It does not ban subtle interference. It grants access to the non-interference policy regardless of ethics or civics. All diplomatic agreements will be considered in breach. Failed espionage will be considered in breach. And insight progress from observing them is boosted by 25%. I was apparently a little overzealous with my thought to upgrade everything at once because it is seriously draining my alloys down, but they'll build back up. I have a decent supply of income
Research
for alloys.
concluded.
I just have to slow down the pace at which I upgrade stations. We have completed Shield Hardener. With these modifications, the fields generated by our shield emitters will partially deflect attacks that would otherwise bypass the shields. We are now working on the detection array, which is actually a computing specialist, so we actually have use for some of our old computing specialists, such as the Mentat, who gets 30% bonus to computing. We also got Ancient Pulse Armor. Ionized plates of armor can carry a reactive charge to alleviate the energy of impacts, using magnetic repulsion and field projection principles. Now the problem with all of these really cool ancient techs is they're going to require a resource I no longer have access to, which is minor artifacts. Now it is kind of cool. It provided both armor and shield points. It provides 170 armor and 75 shield points. And we will compare that in a second. Now we're working on the Ancient Shield Overcharger. We'll go ahead and get that knocked out. But if we go to Ship Designer, alright, our current small armor is 370 armor. Compared to the Ancient Pulse Armor, that knocks off 200 points of armor and adds 75 in shields. Or if we did a straight up shield, that'd be 280. So two of these would be 350 armor and 150 shields. Well, this would be 280 shields and 370 armor. So we're still better off having these separate. So as you see, these things are rather nice, but they do not compare to the very top end techs. The very top end techs really outpace them. So most of these technologies, ancient technologies we're going to end up unlocking, are not going to be that useful to us at this point in the game. It's just techs I'm knocking out quickly to bump up my tech score. Alpha Centauri 2 habitat is now ready. Now this one was going to be a moat facility, if I'm not mistaken. This colony will be Orica. And we're already en route to where we were going to set up our crystal manufacturing here. A report on the political discourse on Torg Industries. Our political scientists have been observing Torg Industries with keen interest. However, despite feverish campaigning and a lot of recent fuss in the media, they forecast a fairly typical outcome for the colony's political future. Our researchers note that no news amounts to good news here. Despite what some fringe elements in our society may claim, there are as yet no signs that Torg Industries is being molded into a hotbed of autocracy. Democracy remains a founding principle there for now. So we could shake things up and give permissive politics there for 30 years that boosts society research but penalizes unity. But we're just going to say good.
Colony establishment has begun.
Now that we've started establishing that colony, I can move it to where it needs to be.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
So we have completed the detection array. It's a star-based module that boosts detection strength. High-powered suite of external sensors capable of detecting cloaked fleets. And we are now working on assist cloaking detection, which will allow our fleets to move. It only takes about 2 months, so we can go ahead and get these 2 ships in position and probably start building a couple more, because we kind of want cloaking detection on all of our border systems. Breglar, Gehinnis, Well, actually, we probably don't need it on all of our border systems, because I believe the cloaking detection might extend a little further. We will see. Let's see. We are going to need to replace a module. Detection array. Yeah, you can stack these. So we would have to give up some of our bastion bonuses if we really wanted that on our border systems. And I don't believe that's something I want to do, because it will drop the available defense platforms on these, and they're already at cap. So I think we're going to have to be a little bit cruder with our cloaking detection, since we can't really replace modules. That would be something to set up in the future, next game, when I build star bases, just to remember that I'm going to need space for detecting cloaking cloak ships. It'll be a while before they start churning out cloak ships, I believe. And I can, in the meantime, just go ahead and start churning out science ships. Let's see, I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total science ships. 7 total science ships to kind of block my border systems. Now the cloak ships could still potentially come in through gateways, so maybe I would want to also do choke point systems or important systems. Let's start with just 5 more science ships and go ahead and relocate the Cosmo Crater to terminal egress and the Marco Polo to Verakus Black Hole, I think. The Awoken has declared Commonwealth of Man their rival. Alright, we have 5 new science ships. We'll send 1 to Almac, 1 to Gorham, 1 to Limsa, 1 to Breglar, and 1 to Kahinis. And actually I do need another one, I think, for this natural wormhole. Where does it connect with? Oh no, it connects with the League of Brian States, but still it might be a good idea. Although, like I said, they could come through gateways while we're at peace, I believe. Because if I look at my ships that were going to do active reconnaissance, they traveled through the gateway to get here, because we weren't currently at war. Actually, I have decided, despite the fact that I will be losing, and it appears I can upgrade platforms. Yeah, all of my... Oh, I haven't gotten to those systems yet. That's what it is. Let's actually go ahead and upgrade all of the platforms at our bastions first, because this is going to affect my platform cap when I do what I'm about to do. Alright, so the bastions should all be upgrading their platforms. No, not quite. I ran out of alloys, so I'm going to have to wait. But what I plan on doing is replacing the torpedo batteries, because having torpedoes on a station, they are generally short range. Yeah, they have a range of 30. I don't want things to get that close. Things will stay back and shoot me with big weapons. So I need long-range weapons. So I think I'm going to get rid of the torpedo batteries on these stations and replace them with detection arrays. Union of Fedima has finally built a juggernaut.
Research concluded.
We have advanced detection algorithms, so we can now assist cloaking detection. Coupling detection arrays with the computers on board our science vessels can vastly increase their scanning resolution. And we are now working on the advanced cloaking field generator that will upgrade our cloak level for all of our ships. And now I can decloak these people and tell them to assist cloaking. Let's see, if I right-click, target needs to have cloaking detection. Okay, so we do need to wait until we get a cloaking detection on each of these star bases.
Research concluded.
We have the Ancient Shield Overcharger. It's another one that costs minor artifacts. Supercharging shields can be done safely thanks to ancient stabilizer coils and dampeners. In addition to the production of a stronger force field, this also has the added benefit of outright vaporizing certain incoming projectiles. We are now working on the Ancient Driller Drones, which is an improved form of strike craft. And we have a new proposal. Repeal minor research sanctions. We are going to oppose that. Commonwealth of Man is proposing it. We vetoed that before. So leverage privateering should be the next one up. Actually, non-interference, we could make the non-interference act bump above this by pulling our support. We've got another year before we need to worry about it, though. Scientist Kutrok has died. He was assisting research at Hestius, one of our research stations. So we do need to recruit a new scientist. That one has 15% to everything. That one has 20% to biology. I think we will take Ryutu Saito, just because he will never die. Now they can gain defects that make me want to disband them and get somebody else. The synthetics can.
Research concluded.
We finally prepared sleeper cells in the Commonwealth of Man. It took a while. And we have got advanced cloaking fields, which gives us the advanced cloaking field generator that will automatically be applied to all of our science vessels and to our observation post. Advancements in rare crystal lensing technology have greatly improved cloaking efficiency. We are now working on the elite cloaking field generator. It'll only take about 8 months, so we're going to get our cloaking maxed out pretty quickly. Now there's one thing about cloaking strength. Your effective cloaking strength is a factor of your cloaking field generator and other environmental factors. If we were to look at, I don't know if I have any ships in a nebula. Nebula generally boost cloaking efficiency. Well, this one boosts evasion. Yeah, maybe it's not applied because this nebula was generated before the game applied the patch. But generally, nebula will add 3 to 6 to your cloaking efficiency. So it is possible to really crank up your cloak if you stay in a nebula. I didn't send out any gifts this time. My economy is kind of experiencing a bit of a slowdown because of how much I spent on alloys and how many alloys I spent. So I just vendored most of the materials, which would just be food and consumer goods that we're capping on the market, to supplement my energy credits a little bit. You got 10,000 energy credits from the Manticore Defenders, paying their dividends.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
We have the Ancient Driller Drones. They are an archaic strike craft. These high-velocity drones have been equipped with antique mining lasers that virtually ignore any plating protecting their target. A tech too good to be wasted on astro mining. We are now working on the Ancient Cavitation Collapser, which is an anti-armor weapon that also penetrates armor. Now if we look at those drones we got, let's go to our Guam hangar. Our strike craft have an average damage of 40. They ignore shields and do bonus damage to armor. These Ancient Driller Drones have an average damage of less than 35 They do reduce damage to shields. They do not ignore shields, but they have 100% armor penetration and do bonus damage to hull. So these are still viable in the late game if you are up against people who use lots of armor and little shields. These are much better than the advanced strike craft or the amoeba flagella is still pretty good because it does bonus armor damage. Both of these do bonus armor damage. They're still both pretty good. But if it is real heavy on armor, completely ignoring their armor is much more effective.
Ship upgrades applied.
All of my bastions should now be fully upgraded on their defense platforms. So I can go through my bastions and start replacing modules. We'll start with replacing the torpedo batteries with detection arrays. Yvdorak ended their rivalry with the fire tribes of Kel.
Research concluded.
We have completed the ancient cavitation collapser. This high-energy weapon causes brutal micro-collapsing events on impact, generating tremendous heat and force inside its target's armor. We are now working on the ancient saturator artillery, which is a delete shields type weapon. It's an artillery weapon that does a heavy shield damage, 150% damage to shields.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
We've got elite cloaking fields. Typical cloaking technology can play havoc with the ship's more delicate instruments. However, these elite fields render such concerns obsolete. We are now working on the dark matter cloaking field generator. Actually, we should have Brian Carson in here, because I believe Kutrak died. He was our more experienced one. Another habitat is now complete. So this will be Baccarat. And I'm already on my way to Rodan to complete colonies there. Alright, our first detection array is completed in each of these systems. That actually dropped us 3 defense platforms, so this other one will drop us another 3 or 4. We're getting a bonus because of having a bastion. But it doesn't get rid of defense platforms we've already built. Just as they're destroyed, we won't be able to replace as many. We now have a small detection strength, but I can go to all of my science ships here and tell them to assist cloaking detection. Now that will update in about a day to see exactly how much assisting cloaking detection is helping them. Now in order to assist cloaking detection, we do need to recruit more scientists. Let's get the eager one here, Nav Lopetkin. We don't really need archaeologists at this point, I don't believe, but we'll grab one just in case. Tulonga. We'll get Diorit because he is the youngest of these. Or she is the youngest of these. Dashulg has leader experience gain. We'll recruit her. And Rowan Watergate gets 20% to materials. And that should be all of our scientists who are in position to assist cloaking detection. Now, if we let this progress, we have to wait for them to get in position, I think. There we go. Cloaking detection assistance plus 4
has begun.
So that one scientist with one detection array is sufficient to get me up to a very high strength. Now you can effectively cap your cloaking and cloaking detection at 10 each. So this is only technically a 5. One more detection array would make it a 6. That's on the higher end. I would be able to detect fairly well. One interesting thought is I don't believe sensor arrays extend through gateways, or they might extend through gateways in my empire, but not necessarily enemy gateways. Since I only really need one trade hub, I might reconfigure the other trade hub to be a full-on sensor array, especially once I get the dark matter resonance chamber, because what that does is every 3 detection arrays add an extra detection strength. So I could turn Trimus, say, into a full-on detection station, or Earth into a full-on detection station, and give them like listing posts to extend their range, to see if I can actually detect cloaking further, and then I could switch my actual bastions back to full-on bastions. Scientist Stalk of Teal has died. He was the one assisting research at Blizzard. We'll get the eager synthetic Piotr.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
We got ancient saturator artillery. This cannon fires a barrage of ancient minuscule ionized spheres that charge upon contact with most force fields, giving them high levels of shield penetration. Any theory that these spheres could have been used for jewelry purposes were dismissed when a critical incident melted an entire laboratory. We are now working on the ancient Rampart, and I forgot to pull my support from the previous one to make sure non-interference was the next one. I meant to do that back in October, but I forgot to do it. So we are now working on leverage privateering. It'll be about 4 years before this comes in, and it should pass. That's going to reduce naval capacity another 10%, increase bureaucrat upkeep, but boost trade protection, trade value, and diplomatic weight from economy. And the Garanshu are in a commercial pact with the League of Brian States. We have a new resolution. High consequence protection by the Awoken. As the scale of conflicts increases, private security outfits must be empowered to keep doing what they do best. Keep the galactic community safe. Boost mercenary enclave naval capacity. Dividends are more frequent. They take 10% less naval capacity but have a 20% energy upkeep. And it further, I think, reduces our naval capacity over the current modifiers. We already have a +1 enclave capacity. 10% trade value and 25% capacity reduction compared to 5% trade value, 10% naval capacity reduction. So it'll be a further 15% reduction in naval capacity. I'm going to abstain from this one. I'm not really that interested in it. I have no need for further trade protection. I do not have piracy in my empire. Now, one thing, if you'll notice, you see up here how this keeps pausing every now and then, that animation of the forward arrow. That is processor lag happening as it calculates things. I was not getting this prior to the update. As I said at the start of this, I normally don't experience mid to late game lag with this game. However, I think that is due to the way the update affected the save when this save was brought up. There's some calculations that are probably getting caught in a loop or something, or calculations that are turning back bad values. I'm not sure what that's going to do to this playthrough, because it is kind of bogging it down and making it take longer to progress. We're in an election cycle, and of course Wadogs is still the primary candidate, but she is close to dying, because our max age now is 215. She's already 5 years past that. Tezekian Hive wishes to remove the Uko Praknar Kingdom from the Federation. Really? Aren't they your subject? They're your bulwark. Why do you want to boot them from the Federation? No. I do not understand
Construction
why
completed.
they are turning against their own subjects. The League of Brian States did that and booted one of their own subjects, their Scalarium. Now the Tezekian Hive wants to get their bulwark out of the Federation. Why? Now with 2 detection arrays, our detection strength is still high. This one has a 4. Let's check some of the others, because the detection assistance should be based on level, I think. Yeah, I have a 6. Exceptional grade 1. We've filled up all 5 and have moved over to the next one here in Veracis Black Hole. We have earned a favor with the League of Brian States, and they kicked the Ukopraknar from the Alliance. That dropped our cohesion down to 0, but we have a positive effect, so it should climb back up. But that is 1 less Alliance member, which will affect the Federation fleet a little bit. Well, maybe not. We had a... I think we have much more than cap. Yeah, my fleet alone provides 1,000, and 400 is the overall cap. Well, since they are no longer a member of the Federation, I can do migration and research agreements with them, but I would have to improve relations. They, however, are improving, so they will most likely propose it. The Ukopraknar in a research agreement with the Polysimus Mandate. As I was going to do my routine maintenance, I noticed I was on the army screen here on Earth, and if we see the names of my planetary guard, we can definitely see something has been corrupted with this particular save. It has got weird numbers in the algorithm here for creating the Planetary Defense Army names. And if I go through all of my armies, it is pretty much the same. So I think that is what is causing the problems. I really hate it when I am forced to update to another patch mid-game, because it does have detrimental effects to a game. And I do not understand why this one suddenly required me to update. It had something to do with the patch in the previous week. The latest patch after the update had launched, that suddenly made this one say, hey, you have to have this. And I was like, why? I didn't have it, when I played the last map, and I haven't updated. I'm still on the rollback. But I think I'm going to have to call this game. So starting next week, we will be doing a follow-up playthrough. Now, if you would like to see me redo the United Nations of Earth in the update as well, and run 2 playthroughs, the Commonwealth of Man and the United Nations of Earth, let me know down in the comments. But this, I'm going to go ahead and pull this one to an end, because it is taking a long time to go through a period because of the lag, and I think it is causing all sorts of glitches. And I believe it's also causing my processor quite a bit of strain. But thank you all for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time.